What's going on, everybody? This is dkdynamite, and I know the news lately has been pretty slow for both Call of Duty 2020 and the PlayStation 5. Today we were all expecting pre-orders to go live for Sony's new platform based on some rumors from some unverified sources, but as I always say, take everything with a grain of salt. On the bright side though, the official concept art and listing for the PS5 has gone live on the American Amazon page, which does mean we are pretty close to whatever day it's going to be when pre-orders do finally go live for their next console. But we also have comicbook.com backing up some information that verified Call of Duty insider Long Sensation, also known as Tom Henderson, tweeted out earlier today in regards to both the price and release date of the PlayStation 5, which also leads me into some really cool discussion about Call of Duty 2020 that we haven't had on the channel just yet. But before we jump into that, be sure to hit that subscribe button down below, because about 70% of you that watch my videos aren't subscribed. Make sure you guys are getting notifications every time I update you on Call of Duty 2020, the PlayStation 5, and of course Warzone. But today's video is also sponsored by Key Codes, a wonderful group that reached out to me at some point last summer and provided me with quite a few Modern Warfare multiplayer beta codes. It was very kind of them. They also reached out to me yesterday during my stream and gave me about 20 or so beta codes for Marvel's new Avengers game. Hopefully you guys got your hands on them while the codes lasted, but they'll also be hooking me up with beta codes for Call of Duty 2020. That's if Treyarch's next game does have a beta, but huge shout out to them. The link to both their site and Twitter page is down below in the description. But I also want to give a huge shout out to my good buddies Fajardi and Vice Squad, who've been killing it lately with the graphics here on my channel. Beautiful thumbnails, beautiful renders, and they actually teamed up and came up with this amazing mock-up for the Call of Duty 2020 game case, right? Just take a look at that. The PS5 cases for upcoming games do look fantastic already. I love that white border, I love the trim, I love all of it. And then on top of that, put some Call of Duty 2020 art on that. It looks fantastic, right? A great render of woods, beautiful background behind them, and of course the Black Ops logo, or I should say a recreated version of the Black Ops logo that leaked a couple of weeks ago from the files of Call of Duty 2020. It looks absolutely insane. Go show some love to both Fajardi and Vice Squad down below in the description. But Tom Henderson went ahead and tweeted out that the price of the PS5 will be $499, so 500 American dollars, and then 450 pounds. It launches November 20th worldwide and November 14th in Japan. Now, he didn't clarify whether the $500 pricing is for the digital or disc edition of the PlayStation 5, but we could all assume, based on other rumors from verified insiders, that $500 would be the price of the more expensive model of the PlayStation 5, so the disc version. So where does that leave the digital edition of the PS5? Probably at around $400 to $450. That's just a rough estimate, but what are the chances that $500 is the price for the digital edition of the console and the disc version will be like $550 or something? I don't think that's very likely. I'm gonna say that $500 is gonna be the price of the more expensive model. Leave all your thoughts on that down below in the comments. Now, for the November 20th release date, I think that's fair enough. That's roughly around the time the PS4 released back in 2013, so that makes sense. It falls under that holiday 2020 category. We all expected that. Several other sources around the gaming community have also supported Long Sensation's information before. Long Sensation has leaked several things in the past for both Modern Warfare and Call of Duty Warzone. Everything has been accurate. He has legit sources, and he has been talking quite a bit about Call of Duty 2020 lately as well. But what about Treyarch's new game now? When are they going to release it? So a lot of people out there have been suggesting that they might end up releasing Call of Duty 2020 alongside the PS5, which I think would be pretty beneficial, right? Giving them a couple of extra weeks to really polish the game would make all the difference, right? Launch the game alongside next-gen consoles, that would be great. But there are, of course, other rumors that the game could also drop in December, right before Christmas to boost those Christmas sales, and that also works too, right? I think the longer it takes for them to get the game out, the better it'll be at launch, considering the rocky development it's had thus far. However, I really want to bring up this point though, because as you guys remember, back with Call of Duty Ghosts, the game released first on last generation platforms, right? PS3, Xbox 360, we all know that. And then once the PS4 finally released and Ghost was then ported upwards to both PS4 and Xbox One, the game was, quote unquote re-released, and you were able to upgrade your copy to a next generation copy of the game, which I thought was cool and all, but will that also be applying to Call of Duty 2020? Is that how it's going to work, right? Is it a strategy to essentially separate the releases of last gen and, next next-gen versions of the new Call of Duty? Does that make more sense for them business-wise? Will they make more money that way? Or will they kind of, take a risk and just release everything all at one time? I personally feel like they're going to separate the releases, right? At least by a couple of weeks or so, maybe 2 to 3 weeks, where you'll see a version on PS4, Xbox One, PC, and then, X amount of weeks later, you'll finally see the game ported upwards to PS5, Xbox Series X, etc. Who actually knows how this is going to work? But I'm sure Activision is, of course, juggling the ideas of how they want to structure the release of the next game. That also leads me into whether or not we'll see a limited edition of the PlayStation 5 centered all around Call of Duty, right? The same sources who actually leaked Modern Warfare 2 and 3 Remastered well over 2 years ago also said that Activision wants the next Call of Duty to be on PS5 to be a Treyarch game. Or I should say, let me clarify that. They want the first Call of Duty on the PS5 to be a Treyarch game. And what's happening? We're getting a Treyarch game. So that lined up pretty perfectly, considering we had no idea, 2 years ago that Treyarch was going to be making Call of Duty 2020 after the pretty rocky cycle that was Black Ops 4. So I guess you could expect, both a Spider-Man limited edition of PS5 and a Call of Duty limited edition for the PS5. I know whenever pre-orders do go live, I'm definitely going to secure my order as soon as possible, but if a Call of Duty 2020 edition is announced, I'll go ahead and cancel, right, the standard pre-order for whatever edition I end up getting, and then I go ahead and get the Call of Duty 2021. But this also begs the question, right? Whenever they do limited edition platforms, or I should say, limited edition of a PS5 that's centered around one game, so Spider-Man and Call of Duty 2020, what version of the PS5 will come with that? Will it be a disc-only version or a digital version? That's definitely worth thinking about. So who knows how they'll handle that? Or will they actually offer both, disc-only and digital-only versions of Call of Duty 2020 PS5s? We have no idea, but let me know your thoughts on that down below in the comments. We've never seen this happen with Call of Duty before. Like I said, back with Call of Duty Ghost, it was structured pretty simply, right? The game released before PS4 even came out, and then finally when PS4 came out, so did the new Call of Duty for that console. But it all depends on how they're going to handle all this. We all remember from the PlayStation 5 presentation a couple of weeks ago that Dan Bunting from Treyarch himself actually made an appearance during the stream. So again, he is a pretty high position over at Treyarch, and he's working directly with Sony on the PlayStation 5, so clearly Call of Duty is in good hands when it comes to next-gen consoles, right? We have nothing to worry about with that. We also have news that I didn't get a chance to cover a couple of weeks ago about the prices of games going up. So we're all used to games costing around $60, right? But now we're looking at the prices that are hitting $70. Now I think it's fair to say with every new generation of consoles, the prices of games will likely go up. At one point it was, $50, then it was $60, now it's $70. One day it'll be $80, one day it'll be $100, right? Which sounds absurd, but here's the argument, right? From a standpoint of a business person that works at Sony or Microsoft or wherever, they'll go ahead and say that the prices that it costs to make a game is going up significantly. But the thing with that is all right, I get that. I totally get it. But with the amount of money these publishers are making from microtransactions alone, why can't that cover the cost of making these games for new generation platforms, right? There's something I'm missing, which probably a lot of us are missing, that many of us will never understand. There's something we're missing about how they gain billions and billions of dollars in profit and revenue on microtransactions, yet somehow that doesn't necessarily improve much when it comes to paying developers, having good working conditions, and then manufacturing these games for an efficient cost to the point where consumers don't have to spend extra money to buy these games, right? The prices of the games could stay at $60, but for some reason, with this generation at least, they're just not. So who knows what is actually going on behind the scenes? I think the best guess I can give you guys is that, yeah, they're making billions and billions on microtransactions, but that money isn't at all going to any fields or departments where money is desperately needed, right? When it comes to manufacturing, when it comes to having good conditions for all the developers, when it comes to, increasing the budget of certain games and DLC seasons, it doesn't seem like that's where the money is going, which is a big shame because it seems like they could definitely cover the cost of any of the needs that they have as they transition to a next generation of console, right? But again, leave all your thoughts on that down below in the comments. Overall, it's been pretty sad lately that we haven't had anything new about Call of Duty 2020 or the PS5. Clearly something is up. As I said in my live live stream yesterday, the fact that Activision won't even say who the developer is of their next game is pretty shocking. Just about every publisher out there has revealed, their plan for the next generation. They revealed their new games, they revealed their roadmap, so to speak, of what they're going to be doing. Activision is kind of the only publisher that hasn't really said very much, right? They talked about, Crash Bandicoot a little bit, but not very much on Call of Duty, so to speak. So I guess the theory is they're trying to wait as long as possible to reveal this game, either because A, Modern Warfare and Warzone are so successful they don't want to take the spotlight off of that at all, or B, they want to reveal it as late as possible to ensure that more people forget about Black Ops 4. The more they wait, the likelier chances there are that people will forget that Treyarch just had a pretty rough cycle with Black Ops 4 last year. I think it's either A or B. Who actually knows? But then there's of course C, which is that development is going really bad right now, but how does that work, right? We just heard from, several reputable people like Exclusive Ace, 700k subs on YouTube, that the game is going great. He saw gameplay. Everything's kind of on schedule, and they were trying to release the game earlier than expected, but it has now been pushed back to like October or November. But that is about it, everybody. This has been dkdynamite. Leave all your thoughts on this down below in the comment section. Really hope you've enjoyed, and peace out, everyone.